Larder, Andy Spink and Pat Wisner for the pack. Andy Boothroyd, Ryan MacDonald, Andy Hobson and John Simpson in the pack. And Halifax will play the first half with a strong wind at the backs against a much changed Leigh side. Robbie Mears has started that victory last week for Leigh, as he's out because he's cup tied, as is Warren Stevens, who's on loan from Warrington. John Wiltz is at full-back, Steve Maiden, Rob Jackson, Phil Jones and Ben Cooper are the three quarters. In a much changed lineup, Jason Kent partners John Duffy in the half-backs, Darren Fleary, Paul Rowley, Matt Sturm, Craig Stapleton, Mark Leaffer and Ian Knott at the pack. Richard Marshall, very experienced Steve McCurry, James King and Dom Fainarty on the bench. Fainarty could make his first competitive debut for Leigh this afternoon. He's had a run out in the Alliance side on Wednesday night after his first game in the Boxing Day friendly. Last one on this set of six for Halifax. The kick's put forward. Sharif will pick it up and be dragged back over the line to force a drop out. And Halifax being pinned back, although encouraging because they kept Leigh out for the first set of six, and must do so again as Wisner drops out, one of four former Leigh players in this Halifax side, along with Blackwood, Morley and Larder. The other one, Alan Adcroft, still struggling with injury. Jamie Bloom also out with a broken finger, again the same one that kept him out for several weeks earlier in the season. No return for Dean Lawford or Ben Blackwood's a couple of weeks off. Chris Birchall out for the season. And Anthony Farrell relying on four forwards on the bench again. And relying on his team to hold Leigh out once again as they pour forward. Wilshire drops the ball back inside. Tackles there, but the ball goes loose. Referee Mr. King, who I'm not familiar with, said the ball was not played, the tackle completed. And Halifax get their first penalty, and Wisner sitting to touch on the far side of the field. And the furthest Halifax have been away from the line with the ball so far. Marley charges up over the 40 into a high tackle, says the referee. Well, this should be more easy yards for Wisner from the Halifax 40. And Halifax in the Leigh half of the field for the first time. Morley to Corcoran, Corcoran on the back to Wisner. Wisner stopping and checking, just not quick enough to get the pass away there. Halifax continue left with Larder, who was a star performer in this side last season. Blackwood eyeing up somebody there as he got up after the tackle was made as he went as the dummy runner. Jason Bolt's pumping the legs, and it takes three to put him down on the Leigh 30-metre line. Morley, dummy runner, ball goes out to the left again. Larder hits the ball up into John Duffy, who could be a danger man for Leigh this afternoon. Nimble-footed half-back. Wisner gets the ball away. Corcoran manages to slip it out of the tackle. Ball comes loose, and Leigh will get to counter-attack on that far side. But Halifax lining up quickly in defence. And Halifax will be looking to try and compete with Leigh, certainly for the first 20 minutes of this game. As Fleary is driven into the ground. The tackle from Fisher and Spink. Blackwood managing to hold on there, as Jackson, I think it was, almost got away, wasn't it? It was Stapleton, the big Aussie forward, and the referee has seen an indiscretion, and Leigh will get the ball back with 6 tackles to go in the Halifax half. Rowley brings Duffy on. Duffy to Leaffer, and Leaffer is pulled back by the referee. Looks a bit dismayed as the referee says the pass went forward. Well, this ground being made all ticky due to safety restrictions. And I don't think it's been sold out. I believe Halifax have sold around 600 or 700 tickets. So plenty of away travelling support and a lot of home support after Leigh's recent run of form as Spink spins out of 2 and gets to the 40. Fisher to Bolts. Fleary missed him. Leaffer didn't. And Bolts is tackled 2 metres from halfway. Back to the left-hand side again. Wisner turns it back inside to Larder, who does well to keep hold of it. And Larder also lifted to his feet, but put down legally. Again, this left-hand side, Wisner chips over the top, trying to put the pressure on John Wiltshire, the Papua New Guinea international, who's been moved into the full-back spot. Darren Abraham forced to rearrange his back line after a training injury to Rob Smythe during the week that left him on crutches. He has a whole host of injuries as Darren Abraham, Mick Covin, Danny Elliwell, Oliver Wilkes, Chris Percival, Neil Turley, Richard Moore, Rob Smythe. Hefty injury list. And when you had the 2 players that are cup tied, Mears and Stevens, that's a lot of players missing from this side as another forward pass is spotted by the referee, no doubt about that one. Duffy proving his danger on his way to the line, and it's Leaffer, I think, that caused the problems, and most of this action so far in this game been on this side of the field. Scrum forming just inside Halifax half. Danny Jones to Wisner. Bunyan on the crash ball, takes it to halfway but draws 3 defenders to him. Morley off the short ball, puts the shoulder down, pumps the legs, gets to the Leigh 40. Morley trying to get the ball away quickly. That one looked forward from up here. No call from the officials. Wisner to Bolts, turning back on the inside into the heavy traffic. Fleary and Leaffer waiting to make the tackle. Wisner to Jones. Jones turns it back inside to Gibson. Gibson across the Leigh defence, gets it away. Corcoran, the ball out to Bunyan. Bunyan looking for the inside runner, but Bunyan takes the Leigh defence. They took the dummy, Bunyan took the speed, put the pedal to the metal and into the corner for the try. The Leigh defence had seen that Bunyan had signalled for Ailey to come inside. They didn't know what to do, and by the time they made their mind up, Bunyan has gone after a run that was, well, the Leigh defence stood back and let Damien Gibson run across. There was no particular threat. As soon as he straightened up and threw the ball out, Wigan were left flat-footed and clutching air as Bunyan took the ball from Danny Jones, raced into the corner and put Halifax into an early lead. It's Leigh 0, Halifax 4. Well, the local paper have predicted this is a potential banana skin for Darren Abraham as Jones almost reaches with a kick, just drops short. There's local paper predicted a banana skin, and Darren Abraham knows it as such and knows that with he's got 4 players that'll be doing the damnedest to make sure this Halifax get a victory today. In Blackwood, Morley, Larder and Wisner. But it's Bunyan who's put the first points on the board for Halifax. Scorching pace shown by the centre. Corcoran gives it inside to Spink. And this Leigh team concerns around 50% of the side which played against Halifax last season. And another penalty awarded to Halifax there by the referee, not letting the man get up to play the ball. And perhaps that an indication of how many of these players played in the League One last season. Slowing the play, the ball down. Corcoran to Spink. Can't get away from Fleary. And there's reinforcement there as well for the Centurions on the Halifax second rower. Halifax use that on the far side of the field. And Bunyan unable to split the Leigh defence this time. Fisher puts the ball down the touchline, and that will push the Leigh Centurions back into their own quarter of the field. Halifax will be quite happy to keep them there. Leigh carrying the ball one-handed from the back of the scrum. Not the best idea, but he managed to keep hold of it. Fairly sizable frame is Leigh. Fleary, one man with bags of Super League experience, but tackled by Blackwood and Bolts, but giving away the penalty. Well, 3 penalties to 2 in Halifax's favour. And Duffy just reminding his teammates about the effort they need to put in this afternoon before depositing the ball into touch a couple of metres from halfway. And Leigh takes a high one from Larder. Well, Leigh was quite happy to continue with the play of the ball there. Well, they're certainly tough for these Samoans. And Leigh, a Samoan international, who's been around the Aussie scene a bit with stints at South, Brisbane East, Sydney Roosters, Bulldogs, New Zealand Warriors. Rowley's a danger man, former Halifax player, to another one who's a potential danger in John Duffy. Rowley again from acting half, this time he passes. And no options there for Jason Kent, former Cronulla player. Ball moves out wide. And Wiltshire is adjudged to have made a double movement there, is he? Or was it a knock on? It's a scrum down, so it must have been a knock on. Halifax get possession at the scrum, but they've got to be wary of Paul Rowley. Although he's getting on a bit, he's still very active around the acting half position. Jones fires it out to Bunyan, and Bunyan is stopped 15 metres out in front of the Halifax post. James Haley coming up to do some work for the forwards, and Leigh look to go high there as Haley disappears under 3. Larder charging the ball forward, turned down a full-time contract with the Centurions last season as Fisher gets it to Bolts. Bolts gets a scrappy ball away to Morley, and he's unable to make much advantage of that on the 40-metre line. Fisher goes for the 40-20. Well, he needs the bounce, he's not going to get it because it's gone back in field. It's forced Wiltshire back, but Wiltshire will have to run it back, and the chasers are there for Halifax. And that is a pretty fair result from a kick by Fisher. I'm not sure he actually went for the 40-20. The ball was nowhere near the touchline, but the result was Wiltshire having to run it out, and Halifax deep in the Centurions quarter of the field defending, and the ball coming up. Jason Bolts gives it to Ricky Sharif with a lot of work to do. Steps out of one tackle, almost. Cooper clinging on to him. As Larder drives the ball into the middle. Halifax's second tilt at the Leigh Centurions line with ball in hand. But that's a good tackle. There's no room for Gibson this time as the defence moved out quickly. That's a scrappy pass. Wisner fires it out to Jones. Jones to Larder. And Larder has to come back inside as though Jones pointed into the corner. But now the defence has pulled across for the Leigh Centurions. Blackwood's taken out and loses the ball in the tackle. So that'll be a scrum back. Steve Maiden with a crunching tackle, but he's finished up getting injured himself, putting his body on the line, the winger, who came, like a lot of this Leigh team, from Warrington. Also had a stint with Saints. Steve Maiden is getting to his feet and he looks groggy. He went round the legs of Blackwood, stopped him in his tracks. Wants to carry on. Physio trying to bring him off, I think. Will this be an early introduction for Fayanatu? Maiden is led away. And Leigh will need to get somebody on. They don't like they've got anybody stripped yet. Halifax will go hunting another mistake from the Centurions. I think it is Fayanatu that's coming on, the former St Helens man, who according to the match report looked very rusty in the senior academy the other night. And Halifax pinned for the offside. Oh, the referee's whistle getting plenty of use this afternoon. And Duffy will once again kick Halifax back towards their own line. Leigh Centurions 0, Halifax 4. Leigh looking to alter that scoreline with his attack as Flair is put down 22 metres away. Matt Sturm, another former Warrington man, been up in Cumbria with Whitehaven and Workington and Huddersfield. And Duffy, good job Larder was watching him. Rowley picks it up quick and the Halifax fans appeal that ball went forward then. Rowley gets a quick one out the back. Leigh have men on the far side. Morley misses the tackle. Halifax guilty of hanging back as Fayanatu takes the ball up on the far side and stands in the tackle. Well, he had loads of options to get rid of it. He's finally put down. Halifax light on this side. A long ball could catch him out here. Chances here. Sharif manages to get his hand to it. Leigh will get 6 more, will they? Dutch judge is not giving it. Well, Sharif definitely touched it. Duffy shifts it out the back door. The ball will go on the floor. Well, Leigh, unfortunate there. Halifax can count themselves lucky. I think Sharif's hand touched the ball. The referee had a long look at the touch judge on this side of the field and nothing coming as Sharif loses ground on an arcing run. Gibson to Andy Spink, who's immediately wrapped up by Jason Kent and Darren Fleary. Leigh quick off the mark at the play of the ball. Almost too quickly there. Bunyan just knocked out of his stride. Fisher goes from acting half. Tries to break down the Leigh defence. That's a good run from the hooker. Takes him up to the 40. Halifax come left again. Wisner looks for space. And Halifax go hunting the mistake again with Sharif and Jones. John Wiltshire put to ground. And Leigh are awarded the 5th penalty of the first half. About midway through this first half, Halifax still 4-0 to the good. But once again, the indiscretion has allowed Leigh easy metres up towards halfway. First tackle made 2 metres away from the halfway line. Fleary will run the ball up all day. Takes it over halfway. Tackled by Fisher and Bolts. There goes Rowley again from acting half. Gets it to Ian Knott. And Knott hauls himself a couple of metres extra despite the attention of 2 defenders. Duffy. Halifax need to watch him. Good ball. Splits the Halifax defence. Stapleton ball. Well, it was held loosely. And Halifax made the tackle. The ball goes to ground. Gibson from acting half. No options there. Nobody seemed to accept the invitation. Gibson had to go on his own. So does Spink. And he's put down. Larder. Halifax still yet to reach the 40-metre line as Leigh quick out of the blocks with attacking. Bunyan slips the first tackler again. Halifax only just over the 40, and Corcoran opts for the kick to put Wiltshire under pressure again, but this one will go over the dead ball line. So waste of the kick and a waste of possession there for Halifax. They'll look for the mistake again, and they'll also look not to give the penalty away. Given too many away in this first half that has allowed Leigh back into the Halifax half of the field. Tacklers moving in quickly. Andy Hobson on for Halifax, and that one's a mile forward. Wearing the scrum cap, the first game for Andy Hobson since a double fracture of the skull against the London Scholars in the opening round of the Northern Rail Cup. Well, he's been chomping at the bit for a few weeks as the big prop, and it's a psychological hurdle now rather than the physical one. Always likes the physical side of stuff. Gibson into the line again. Jones can't shrug off the tackle. Halifax are back in the Leigh 40, and Hobson will have his first run at the Leigh defence. Well, no psychological side effects on that run as Larder tries to skip the defence. It's come off a Leigh hand. Well, the official's seen it this time, so Halifax will get 6 more tackles to go at that Leigh Centurions line. While the Leigh Centurion defenders, or supporters in front of us, still complaining about the decision that went against them when Ricky Sharif's hand touched the ball. Jones from the back of the scrum to Wisner. Wisner across the defence. Bunyan's in again, but just couldn't keep hold of the ball. There was a second try begging there for Halifax, but Bunyan just losing the grip on the ball. Leigh will have to run it away again, and the Leigh supporters already shouting for the penalty. Ian Knott put to ground by Fisher. Ian Knott trading punches with Hobson there. Now he gets the ball back. And Hobson involved in the tackle again with Andy Spink. And Ian Knott gets to his feet, looking a rather dejected man there. But Leigh continue down that far side with Rowley. And the kick, surely too much on that one. Well, it hasn't, because it's held up. It means Gibson will have to run it back and steps round one. Sharif will go from acting half. Blackwood. Tackled by two, close attention for the former Leigh player, and Halifax get a penalty as Leigh are offside. Well, no shortage of penalties and no shortage of action, but on the scoreboard, Leigh 0, Halifax 4. That's the most important statistic of this game as far as Anthony Farrell's concerned. They won't be happy at the ease at which his team seem to have conceded penalties. Corcoran gets it to Spink, to shouts a forward pass. Quick play the ball. Corcoran to Weiser, brings Bolts back on the inside. Bolts through the first man, but there were 3 reinforcements there for Leigh. Corcoran misses out and gets it to Bunyan. Bunyan to Haley. Haley with work to do, and Haley has done it again for Halifax. Well, Bunyan, they were waiting for him, and they held off. When they moved in, Haley was left unmarked, and James Haley still had work to do again. He didn't look as though he had much room from here, but the winger squeezing over in the corner and only just reaching with outstretched arm to doubles Halifax's lead on about 26 minutes. Leigh Centurions 0, Halifax 8. So Danny Jones left with another difficult kick, while the Halifax supporters applaud the return of their players into the Halifax half of the field after a second try from James Haley, who's now extending his lead as the top try scorer at the club. That's 14 for the season. Ricky Sharif on 11, but of course he had 2 or 3 weeks out. But Haley plugging away. Jones, has he found the mark this time? He hasn't. So the score remains at Leigh 0, Halifax 8. And Leigh Centurions have brought on the added experience and the added poundage of Steve McCurry. Another former Warrington man, but he made his name at Widnes, Steve McCurry, as long ago as the back end of the 80s. This is about his 17th or 18th year as a professional. Although I think there were a few raised eyebrows when Darren Asbram signed McCormack, certainly for his experience, but ambition, I'm not sure from McCormack. His ambition's probably just to stay in the game as long as he can, because I'm sure that he'll be getting paid a few more pounds now, will Steve McCormack, than he did when he first started playing the game before it went professional. As Halifax surrender possession again, here comes McCormack. Stopped by Larder and Hobson, but it's taken Leigh back to within 15 metres. Rowley to Leaffer. Leaffer falls 9 metres from the Halifax line. Rowley from acting half again, just shrugs Danny Jones away. Stapleton gets it to Duffy. Duffy can cause problems, and the ball has got away. But still Leigh failed to break that line with Wiltshire. They might do this time with Knott. Leigh plays trying to push him over, last tackle. They'll have to watch it round the play, the ball. Fainarty tries to go underneath, but Halifax hold him out and put him into touch. That's great defence on that far side. Well, up to now, Halifax haven't really been taxed too much close to their own line, but anything Leigh have thrown at them, Halifax have come up with the answers. And they've only been there a couple of times by virtue of Halifax making a couple of mistakes, as Bunyan makes yards on the far side carrying the ball away. James Haley likewise over the 20-metre line. Knott turns him over. Andy Spink running into a Centurions defence that's still coming off the blocks quickly. Andy Hobson down the middle over the 40-metre line. Last tackle. Wisner, will he try? Well, he's not trying the 40-20. He's trying the high ball into Cooper, who's playing on the wing today despite playing at most of the games as a full-back. Got round Sharif, but Blackwood recovering to make the tackle. Jackson inside. Duffy moves to acting half. McCormack comes on the short side. Blackwood clings onto him on halfway. Well, Jones and Larder get there. Rolling into acting half. Leaffer, who will more than likely charge at the Halifax defence. Most of these South Sea Islanders are more adept at running than they are at passing. Rowley with the inside ball to Ian Knott, who's knocked down by Wayne Corcoran. Last tackle already. And Duffy drills it down the touchline. Gibson will have to come back, pick it up and play it. And Gibson has the legs on the first line of defence, does he? No, but he's kept hold of possession and brought the ball away from the touchline. Now Sharif has given the ball, but no space to work in, as Leigh muster up the defences on this side of the field. Jones to Blackwood to shouts a forward pass. Jones inside to Sharif. Fancies a run again, but loses ground. Not the place for Ricky Sharif in the heavy traffic in the middle of the field. Andy Hobson into Duffy, held off Duffy, but McCormack came in and went round the legs. Wisner is forced to hoof the ball away because Halifax were restricted by some good Leigh defence there, and Feyenoord is forced back. Well, he's not played for a while, and he got up ahead of steam, but the defence had moved up to chase. Another good kick and chase by Halifax. Last time it was Wiltshire that was under pressure. This time it's Feyenoord, and leigh does get the ball away. Tremendous pass. Well, I'll take back what I said about the more used to running. Sweet pass from leigh there, but Leigh unable to take advantage of it. Rowley appeals and gets the penalty. And it's Andy Hobson tangling with Ian Knott again, I think, there. Eight minutes left of the first half. McKenny takes the short pass from Rowley and makes it to halfway before being stopped in his trap by Blackwood and Larder. Marshall's on for Leigh. Rowley, a former Halifax player, and Leigh are given another penalty. Well, I don't think that Anthony Farrell will be becoming more and more frustrated at the way in which Halifax are giving the penalties away. Halifax, their own worst enemy, and putting pressure on themselves constantly with his mistakes and the ease in which they give the penalties away. So with 7 or 8 minutes to half time, John Duffy will give Leigh the opportunity to put the pressure on the Halifax line with a kick that finds touch just outside the 20-metre. McCormack again, the first man in. Marshall, Duffy round the back. Chances here. Halifax are struggling to contend with this attack coming forward as Jones loses the ball on the far side. Well, Phil Jones was a hero last week, the first ever Leigh player to score a hat-trick in Super League, and I think it was him that dropped the ball then. He's been a points machine in his career as Phil Jones, especially with Lancashire linked, signed by Wigan. Only played about 21st team games over 3 years. He brought to Leigh, and he'll have a job getting in the record books here with Taylor. Neil Taylor gets back in the team because Taylor has just scored points for fun since he's been at this club. Blackwood gets up and plays the ball. There's still Leigh bodies all over the line. Wisner taking on the man that was in the offside position, and he's going to give the knock on. Well, the Leigh man made no attempt to get out of the way. Well, I think Pat Winder should have had the penalty there. He ran into a man who was deliberately offside. He made no attempt to get out of the way. Wisner used him as the foil as leigh comes up from the back of the scrum. And still going forward, never actually went down in the Samoan and was allowed another 5 or 6 metres. And Halifax must once again defend as Ian Knott carries the ball forward for the Centurions. Duffy will once again try to get Leigh on a roll. He skipped 2 defenders as John Duffy. Jones manages to haul him down. McKenny goes from acting half, trying to power his way over, and he's held up a metre away. Dangerous times for Halifax. There seems to have been a lot of defending in the last 5 or 6 minutes. Duffy, ball back inside to Wiltshire. Wiltshire gets it back to Duffy. Duffy is waiting for men to drop behind him, and he's managed to evade 2 tacklers. Then drops the ball inside to Jones. Here goes Jones trying to make amends for that mistake, and Halifax haul him down inches away. Last tackle. What will Leigh conjure up here? Kick through. It's come off the post. It could cause problems, and Halifax have managed to bring it back into field of play. But the referee has pulled them back. So Halifax looking to hold out for the 4 minutes that remain of the first half. The referee stops the clock. David Larder said he carried the ball back into the field of play. The referee said He touched it down behind the line, and Wisner's kick doesn't get off the ground. Leigh picks it up on the 40, carrying the ball one-handed again, the Samoan, and brings it back to the 30. Marshall takes it over the 20. Well, hard work defensively for Halifax in this last 5 minutes, and Fainarty's hammered to the floor. Halifax not taking their eye off the ball at the moment. Fainarty not expecting that one. Halifax managed to hold him down again, but Leigh are so close to that Halifax line. Now if they move the ball out, Halifax have not got men across here. Duffy shows the ball inside. Blackwood sticks to the man and brings Duffy down. Wiltshire with a kick in the air. This one could cause problems, but the wind is drifting it back. This could go anywhere, and Leigh are losing ground, but that doesn't mean that Halifax should take their eye off the ball. Here goes Wiltshire again on a stepping run. Wiltshire through the Halifax defence, throws the ball behind him. He's in the up for a kick on the floor to Leigh. Gibson picks it up for Halifax, running across the defence, and then almost spotting a gap to straighten up. So another let-off for Halifax after, I think, 18 tackles on their own line there. Sharif looking for a bit of space, unable to keep his foot in as he slides easily. Jones inside to Larder. Larder caught by 3. MacDonald first touch for the replacement prop, and he loses possession, so Leigh may get another chance at this Halifax line. Once again, it's easy possession for Leigh as Leaffer takes the pass, gets it away to Duffy. Leigh have a 3-2 on this side. Halifax struggling to get back, but again they've been pulled back for a forward pass by the referee. Well, it was all on there for Leigh with a 3-on-2, but the pass has gone forward. 2 minutes or so to go to the end of the first half. Leigh Centurions of the Super League 0, Halifax National League Division 1 8. Jones to Wisner, Wisner to Bunyan, willing to help the forwards out. Wisner to Spink. Spink having to get across quickly. The first forward there for Halifax from the breaking scrum. Simpson on for Halifax, pair of fresh legs. Halifax, we were looking towards the half-time break after putting in a big defensive effort. MacDonald will go forward again. This time he keeps hold of possession as he's brought down on the 40. Fisher looking and waiting for the quick play. Wisner went for the gap, never on really. Last tackle, Halifax will have to rely on Fisher for the kick as he gets it away. Halifax have to move across as Cooper takes the ball for Leigh. 5 metres back inside the Halifax half. Jackson running across the Halifax defence. Halifax defence holding off until Spink tackles the centre. MacDonald there as well. Ian Knott looking to break down Halifax on that far side, but Halifax gang tackling the loose forward. Leigh moving it across with Duffy. Duffy looks for runners, then decides to go himself. Halifax looking to hold out from the break. McKerry will go on his own, take it to the 20-metre line, and looked at somebody as though he was going to give the pass away. Last tackle. Back to Duffy. Leigh go for the power play, do they? They do. Wiltshire comes back inside. Allowed to stand again is Wiltshire, the fullback. Moved out wide. Halifax, do they have men on that far side as Jones tries to step back inside? Obviously, not knowing it's the last tackle, the centre is brought down under an easy tackle. Quick play the ball, and Halifax almost caught out there. Haley had to be quick to pick it up. Gibson effective at making yards from that position again, helping out the forwards, carrying the ball over the 20-metre line. Simpson takes it off the inside ball and runs into 3 as Halifax make important yards away from their own line. Larder carries it forward, but the ball stripped, says the referee, and Halifax will get the 12th penalty of the first half, and it will relieve the pressure certainly up to half time. Wisner will put the ball into touch, and that may just signal the hooter, will it? Well, he did stop the clock when Halifax were trying to slow the play down when they were dropping out. McDonald drives it into 3. If Halifax have the time and they get close enough, maybe the option of the 1 point's on. Who knows? Spink, 28 metres out. Wisner to Simpson. Good tackling on Simpson from Richard Marshall. Jones moves it out wide to Sharif, but the interception's there, and it's heartbreak again for Halifax. It's deja vu as Leigh score in the last minute of the first half again from a long pass out. Ben Cooper goes 80 metres. And it's deja vu as Halifax went for the kill right at the break. Cooper took the ball, it never got to Sharif, and Sharif, probably the only man on this side of the field that could have caught the full-back turned winger, was never going to get round fast enough to catch the former Huddersfield man as he races 90 metres, and from going in with an 8-0 lead on the attack, after all the pressure that Leigh had had on the Halifax line and failed to score, Ben Cooper picks the ball out of the air, and it looks like, with Jones' kick to come, that the reward for Leigh Centurions, probably for the patient, will be a 2-point deficit rather than 8-point deficit. And Phil Jones will try and turn it into 6. And it's heartbreak for Halifax. It's the same thing that happened last season when they were 19 points to 0 up. And in the second half, the game turned. Halifax totally dominated the first 40 minutes. And after that try on half-time, they came out in the second half and ran riot. Halifax failed to score. We'll be hoping that doesn't happen again this afternoon. But they're against a strong wind in the second half for Halifax. This probably shouldn't have been in this position as Jones screws the ball round at an angle. And Leigh sheds at half-time. It should have been 8-0 down, but Wisner's long pass picked out of the air by Cooper. It'd have been great if it had gone to Sharif and it had gone in at the corner, but Cooper racing 90 metres, Jones converting. Halifax's tries from Bunyan and Haley gave Halifax a good start with an 8-0 lead. They're still in front, but it's going to be tough to keep hold on to in this second half against a strong wind. At the Coliseum at half-time, it's Halifax 8, Leigh Centurions 6. Well, testing times for Halifax now in the second half of this Power Gen Challenge Cup tie. Leigh sneaking one in the very last touch of the ball of the first half, as they did last season. And they didn't look back after that score in that match. Will that turn out to be the result today? Well, there's 40 minutes to go to find out, as Wayne Corcoran sets up to restart this second half. Leigh Centurion 6, Halifax 8, 2 tries to 1 in Halifax's favour, and Corcoran having trouble keeping the ball on the tee, and the wind that Halifax are playing against will no doubt have an effect on how it goes in the second half. And Corcoran's kick only making 20 metres, so 40 minutes for Halifax to hold Leigh out or improve on the current score. But the difference between full-time and part-time may be a key factor in this second half. And no shortage of willingness and experience in either side, but they're already an indication. It's Craig Stapleton, it was, who strode the ball into the Halifax defence, and it took 3 to stop him. Leigh using the kick early in the piece, and I think they will do quite a lot in this second half. With the wind at the backs, and maybe one or two 40-20s on the cards to come, as James Haley falls to the tackle, looked for the gap. Fisher to Spink. Spink round Leaffer and into Jones. Leaffer there at a second snap, and Spink going down after losing 2 or 3 metres. MacDonald gets through the first, keeps the legs pumping, just hauling himself over halfway. Last tackle indicated by the referee. Wisner will put the ball down on the ground. It's down as a charge down, and Jones will be happy just to get the possession for Leigh. So Halifax turn attacking to defence, and they're going to have to defend as well as they did in the first half, as Fearnartu takes the first drive up. Huge size of a man is Fearnartu, and perhaps the rest since Boxing Day may not have helped the waistline, but that might have positive results for Leigh as he tried to scatter the defence then. But Leigh now down that right hand side. Jones moves out to make the tackle. Wiltshire with that one-handed carry of the ball, as Leaffer does. Kick not bringing rewards there as Fisher gets away from 2. How's Fisher over 100 metres? Well, there's nobody near him. Dunn after him. Jones after him. Fisher slowing down, moving away from the defence. Dunn still chasing it. Duffy's still chasing him. But Ben Fisher has done what Ben Cooper did, picked the ball out of the air off the kick. And he had a lot, well, it would have seemed a lot further for the hooker than Ben Cooper. And he was slowing down. And just as he turned inside, Duffy and Jones it was that dropped off the chase. And Ben Fisher has come to Halifax's rescue early in the piece of the second half of this match and set those Halifax supporters alight behind those posts. With a try from nothing, his 5th of the season, and a 6-point lead restored, courtesy, and I think that might be one of the longest tries that Ben Fisher's ever scored in his life, because he didn't look as though he was going to make the distance. Jones almost overtook Duffy in the chase, but Fisher having the sense to go inside, and Duffy gave up then, and Jones did too. And it's Leigh Centurion 6, Halifax 12, and Danny Jones with what should be his first success into the wind. So the 8-point lead is restored for Halifax with a sensational try that, although it's early in the second half, is probably worthy of winning any Challenge Cup tie. Well, there was no suggestion there that part-time players would struggle, as Fisher outpaced the full-timers from at least 80 metres, at the very least. And he's straight back into action at the acting half is Fisher, taking the ball up, dropping it inside for Larder. MacDonald taking a position up down on that short side and driving the ball forward, pumping the legs. He's got 3 and now he's got 4 to him, and eventually succumbs to the pressure put on by the 4 defenders. Jones the dummy runner as Blackwood. Well, it looked like there were arms all over him there. Gets some, plays the ball quickly on the last tackle. Weiser will be looking for better out of this kick than the last one. Well, the wind holding it up. Jones makes the tackle on the 40. Well, Halifax I don't think were onside, but Leigh players not in a rush to get back into their attacking line. As Corcoran makes the tackle 2 metres from halfway. Ian Knott driving the ball forward. Ball into the tackle of MacDonald, appealing for a penalty. I think might not have been Ian Knott, might have been Stapleton. Halifax guilty of watching the man there. As Leigh tried to keep it alive, Gibson shouting the instructions from the back of the line. Wiltshire gives the ball inside to his support, and Ian Knott and Leigh keep it moving. Last tackle. Wind at the backs. Duffy, long ball out wide. 2-on-1. They could be in here, could they, at the far side? But Halifax once again hold the line out. Unbelievable defence on that far side of the field from Danny Jones on the last tackle, and Gibson comes up and helps out the forward with a pressure relieving run, catching the Leigh defence on that blind side. Blackwood charges up to the Leigh defence. Anthony Blackwood couldn't force his way into first team reckoning at Leigh. He's had no trouble doing it at Halifax, as Sharif is caught as he tries to help out. Leigh a bit light in defence on this side of the field. Larder drives it up the middle. Wisner to Bunyan. Bunyan threw the dummy. Jones wouldn't take it, moved in to make the tackle. And this is the problem that Halifax having, getting the ball out of their own half of the field. Wisner drops one on the floor. Wiltshire waits for it. Ailey stands his ground, and Wiltshire's brought down on the 40 with assistance from Spink. Leigh supporters once again appealing for penalties as Fayanatu tries to drag himself out of the tackle. Jason Bult's managing to hang on. Can't afford to let these big men get half out of the tackle, because they'll take full advantage, give them the opportunity. Duffy, inside ball to McCormack. And there's another example. Halifax not making the tackle count, and McCormack squeezing extra metres out of the run. The short side again. Duffy turns it back inside to Wiltshire. Wiltshire looked for a one-handed pass, couldn't get it away. Leigh have a big advantage on this side of the field. Duffy fires the ball out wide. Halifax dragging men across now. James Ailey will pick the ball up and force the drop out, which ain't going to go so far in the wind that Halifax are playing against. And Halifax will be put under immense pressure once again. Well, they survived 3 sets of 6 in the first half. Pat Wisner taking his time, so the referee will stop the clock while Halifax try to get the breath back against the onslaught that is bound to come, as Leigh Alpha takes it from 30 metres. Not a day for kicking out from under the post, not against this wind. Marshall driving forward. Halifax under pressure with 4 tackles in the bag. Leigh are only 2 metres away. Rowley gets the ball away. Fisher was the first man into the tackle there. Spink with him. Duffy sends the ball back inside, and Wiltshire will stride over. Well, Halifax appealing for the forward pass, but it's not going to be given. Well, he picked up a lot of Leigh forward passes in the first half. To get it away, referee said he wasn't put down. It's a 3-1 and he's gone for the glory, has it? The try won't be given. Not got the ball down. There's an in-goal touch there. What's he going to say? Well, if Leigh don't score there, well, paid the price for going for the glory there. Jason Kent, the Australian, thought he had it in the bag. Two men outside him. It should have been 4 points to Leigh, but the Australian went for glory and the tackle was made bravely, which left him short of the line. And Halifax, though, are now finding it difficult to carry the ball away from their own line. Sharif moves into acting half but doesn't take the play. Andy Spink driving the ball out. Centurion supporters finally found the boys, even though they still trail by 2, but the signs looking better for Leigh at the moment than they are for Halifax, as Wisner's kick drops on the 40 and forced backwards. Jones the first man up there. Halifax have numbers and they'll be glad to get out of their own half for the brief respite, but how long can they keep Leigh in their own half of the field? Wiltshire carries the ball with one hand and loses it, so that will give the advantage at the scrum to Halifax. No pressure on John Wiltshire, but that one-handed carrying style causing the error on this occasion. Wisner round the back to Gibson. Big gap opened up for Gibson and he kicks forward, and that could be a waste of possession. Wiltshire picks it up. Second tackle. Halifax need to respect it. Well, I'm not sure that was the right option from the full-back. The intention was there as Feyenoord 2 steps out of the tackles and takes the ball back over halfway. Duffy will look for runners and finds one in James King. Side from Barrow. Duffy almost escaping the clutches there. Jones, I think, not able to keep hold of the shirt. Last tackle again. And the ball down to put Sharif under pressure. Sharif will come up with it. He's behind his own line. He's stepped out of one tackle. And Sharif has been forced behind the line once again. Well, pressure will be on again from Leigh. And Halifax really should have been making more of the possession in this half of the field. Wisner once again only gets 22 metres out of the kick. Leigh Affer brought down by Bolts and Spinks. Well, not the best of times for Halifax as Leigh ball forward, and that'll be a second try from the dropout. Well, nobody seems to be sure who scored that one up here. There was a... Well, being told it was Rowley of all people that scored the try, the former Halifax player. Another easy conversion for Jones from in front of the post. And Leigh in front for the first time. They've been made to fight for it, and they perhaps could have made more of that. I think the one and only visit they've had so far into the Leigh half of the field in the second half with the ball. And twice they've been forced to drop out, and twice they've been pushed back by Leigh and punished with a try under the post. Jones obliging with the conversion, and Halifax are suddenly up against it. Halifax 14, Leigh 18, and just over the 40-metre line. And Fayonatu won't go anywhere with Corcoran round the legs, trying to play for the penalty. Rowley pops it up for Ian Knott. Not brought down, but the ball will go back this time for the kick again, which is quite easy for Haley. Fancies a run round the outside, does James Haley, gets it inside to Wisner, and Wisner is clattered with a big tackle. Huge hit from Jason Kent. Jones in with the next tackle, Spink. And Leigh ganging up in the tackles now, knowing full well that should Halifax kick the ball, really ain't going to travel that far. Jones, long ball out wide to Blackwood. Struggled to reach it, but got to it eventually, and then Blackwood comes inside. Bounces off Sharif. Well, if Halifax are going to score, they need to do it now. They need to hit back. But it's the last tackle, and they're still almost 30 metres away. I'm not sure a kick will bring anything from Halifax. Well, it may do, depending on the bounce, as Jones knocks it out to Sharif, and Sharif will fancy his chances round the corner, and Sharif has got in, and there's no question over the try, I don't think. The touch judges stood by the flag on the far side, so whether he'll actually give this one, will it? There's a discussion going on, a long discussion going on. Try being cancelled out. And Leigh are given a penalty. Sharif are just to have a double movement over the line. So Wiltshire makes easy yards for Leigh away from their line. Well, Halifax certainly not throwing the towel in. Still midway through this second half. It's Leigh 18, Halifax 14. Fleary showing the ball. Rowley from acting half. Leigh come down this short side. Ian Knott. Couldn't give it to Jones. Jones almost running into him. Again, they use this short side with Jones trying to go round Haley. Haley is sticking to the task. Ian Knott driving forward. Throws a wild pass away, which bounces kindly for Jones. And Leigh, it may come up favourably out of this as Wiltshire breaks the line again. This could be curtains for Halifax. Wiltshire's held, then he managed to get the ball away, and it's Rowley again with his second try, and that could kill off Halifax's hopes in the Challenge Cup. So Rowley, his second try, and that gives Leigh an 8-point gap. Well, Halifax have had 2 chances in the second half and were denied by a decision from the touch judge on the far side, saying Sharif with a double movement. And this should be a simple conversion for Jones to stretch the lead to 10 points. Still a way to go. An uphill battle for Halifax now, trailing by 10. Corcoran manages to find some distance with a kick. Leigh loses it and Bulls comes up with it, so Halifax get the possession. Quick play the ball. Simpson will drive the ball into the Leigh defence, and he's put down 10 metres away. Well, I didn't realise there was so long left, but if Halifax can pin something while they're at this end of the field, will it be third time lucky? 2 attempts already have brought nothing. Fisher, whose try gave Halifax a perfect start to the second half, but referee has penalised the Leigh man for offside. Well, he's miles away from the play of the ball. Jones looked for the quick tap. He gets it away to Simpson. Simpson barges his way towards that Centurions line. Halifax will attack again. Fisher tries to bury his way underneath. Ball comes loose. And what's he given there? And he's given Halifax the scrum again. Said it was a Leigh that pulled it out. Well, if the Leigh's pulled it out, then why does he not give a penalty? It looked like there was certainly more than one defender in there. So Halifax will attack again with Wiseman in the standoff position. Bunyan coming in and then gets it away, and Jones has got the pace. He's going away from Gibson. Halifax have blown it this time. Gibson's given up the chase. First tackle, they've given possession away. Well, they've cut their own throat out of Halifax there, trying to get the ball away on the first tackle. And Jones latching onto it. James Bunyan trying the one-handed pass. And Jones will be in front of the post to make it 30. Well, Halifax have had 3 half chances of that, and certainly 2 failed to capitalise, and that's the difference there. The Super League side taking full advantage. Jones onto the interception again, this time from Bunyan, and putting the ball in an easy position for the conversion, and the lead stretches to Leigh Centurions 30, Halifax 14, and it really is a massive mountain to climb now. Well, some very happy Leigh Centurion supporters now, and it looks so different when Fisher scored his try. Jones makes the tackle. Leigh penned on the 20-metre line. What have Halifax got left in the tank as the ball goes away? Halifax trying to force the Leigh defence back. Leigh drives the ball up, looks round one-handed to get the ball away. Seen the interceptions and then thought better of it, took the tackle. Duffy turns it back on the inside, but Leigh getting over the advantage line despite the efforts of Halifax. Now they move it out wide. Halifax are stretched, but the ball goes back inside to Fainatu. Still gets it back inside to Jason Kent. Back to Wiltshire. Wiltshire to James Haley. Haley fancies a run round Jones on the inside. Then he'll have to check and go inside. Fainatu coming across. Good kick return from James Haley. Wisner to Fisher. Halifax fairly static there. And Simpson doing well to make something out of nothing as he takes the ball up to the 40. Jones gives it to Larder. Andy Hobson back on for Halifax, pumping the legs, taking his team to within 25 metres of the Leigh Centurions line. Wisner gets it away, but Spink unloads in the tackle. The referee said the tackle was made, and Leigh will get another penalty. Well, after 12 penalties in the first half, there's only been 2 in the second half, both going the way of the Leigh Centurions. James Bunyan slow to get to his feet. Another kick which puts Halifax back in their own half. Kent to Fleary off Matt Sturm. Rowley to Ian Knott, and Knott taken out by Bunyan. And the referee's given a knock on. The touch judge has nothing to say. Well, there is a fourth official here this afternoon, who is Steve Presley, and Steve Presley is sat in a straight line just along the seats from me, and he's in contact with the referee, and I'll probably hear what the Leigh Centurion supporters think about that, but well, James Bunyan offering apologies, but I don't know if that's going to calm the situation as Wisner goes forward to halfway, gets up, plays the ball. Jones brings on Fisher, and Fisher almost through the gap, just knocked out of his stride by Maidens. Larder takes the short pass. Leigh are out of the blocks. Jones to Corcoran. Trying to sell the dummy. Leigh didn't buy it. Quick play the ball. Long pass out from Wisner. Blackwood pops it up to Gibson. Gibson to Sharif, who's having trouble all afternoon as Sharif staying on his feet. Last tackle. Jones skipping the defence. Blackwood chipped through on the floor, but will it stay in the field of play? No, it's travelled out. Gibson, the old Halifax man, chasing it. Fainati, tap on the 20. Well, seems to be getting back into his rhythm. Ball stolen on a one-on-one. Corcoran gives it to Hobson. So Halifax may have another chance as Hobson pumps his legs up to the 20. Larder steaming onto the ball. Bunyan gets it to Haley. Haley with work to do. Can't do it this time. Simpson will run at the line. And Simpson turning round looking for support, but nobody there. Fisher to Spink, and Spink, has he got the ball down? It looks like he has, judging by the cheers from those supporters behind those posts. So Halifax have not thrown the towel in, they've given the opportunity yet again, and Andy Spink has taken it for Halifax's fourth try of the afternoon. And Jones rushed over to get the ball. He wants to get on with it. Still 12 minutes to go. And if he kicks this, Halifax are back within 2 scores. And Jones has found the target. So do we still have a ball game here as Halifax back to 30 points to 18. And they certainly don't look like they've been outclassed by the Super League side, that is for sure. Been put under immense pressure after being forced back for 2 dropouts. But is there life left in Halifax yet? Andy Boothroyd on the other side of the field will be the last of the Halifax replacements when he does take the field. As Wiltshire hoops that ball deep, and Spink takes it in the in-goal area, but the on-rushing Leigh defence will meet him on the 10-metre line. Haley gives it to Bunyan. Not the crowd favourite with the Leigh Centurions after that tackle on Ian Knott, as Andy Hobson's brought down by Jones. Corcoran. Tackled by Stapleton and Fleary. Bunyan drops it in the sight of the Halifax post, and has just helped to put an awful lot of pressure on his teammates with a scrum to come 15 metres out. Duffy spins away from Danny Jones, gets him at the second attempt on the 20. Down to about the last 10 minutes as Halifax try to put pressure on Leigh as they play the ball. We push back now though. A run from James King. 15 metres away, still a Leigh. Rowley looks for the hat-trick, fires the pass away, but the Halifax defence have gone back onto red alert. Halifax moving the defenders across to this side of the field. Last tackle. Can they hold out for one more? Rowley in at acting half. We'll put it back to Jason Kent, who opts to pass to Duffy. Duffy will drill one through on the floor, which Sharif will have to pick up, and once again Halifax will be forced to drop out from under the post. Well, this Wisener's gone for the short one, and Wiltshire, who has been named man of the match, has come up with the ball. Good idea, but it's gone the wrong way, and Fleary, of all people, in the twilight of his career, and that one by the end of the night will probably be 80 metres from Fleary, I would imagine. Darren Fleary romping over like a 2-year-old from 10 metres out, and once again it came from the dropout under the post, and that really in fact has been the only difference between these two sides this afternoon. Halifax hitting back with a try, but once again Leigh have forced Halifax to drop out under the post into a gale force wind. And Jones will make it 36. Well, that'll be game, set and match now for Leigh. Certainly no way back for Halifax at this stage of the game. Another kick up in the wind, which Halifax were first to. Sharif's come up with it. Judge on the far side, waves play on. MacDonald driving the ball up, bounces off the first one, but bounces backwards. And eventually put down. Halifax given the first penalty of the second half. Not letting MacDonald up to play the ball. And Boothroyd becomes that last Halifax replacement onto the field, gets some plays it quickly. Jones to Corcoran, who bamboozles the defence a bit. Halifax still looking for something late on in the game as Jones fires a wild pass out. It bounces up kindly for Blackwood. Blackwood tries to use his strength. Bullroyd in acting half. Will run against the Leigh defence. Well, Halifax supporters not happy with something that's going on as Jones shows it, goes down, gets up, and then he's eventually sucked in by the Leigh defence. Last tackle. Bullroyd to Wisner. Wisner gets the ball, but Kent clears the danger for Leigh, who will drop out under the post with, well, I would expect something that will, a kick that will travel a lot further than any of the three Pat Wisner has had to put out this second half. And Leigh trying to slow the game down. 16 points in front, I don't think they've really anything to worry about. And David Larder, well, he touched the ball. Which direction it went, it didn't matter because they were going to have a knock on anyway. Referee not happy with the scrum, so it'll form again. Into the last 2 minutes. Jason Kent gets it away. Leigh cheering another try then, thought Jackson was on his way. But Halifax give away yet another penalty. So Duffy kicks the ball into touch. Leigh looking for one. Last hurrah perhaps before the final whistle, going into the last minute of the game. Stapleton is put down. Rowley, 2 tries for Leigh this afternoon, have made a big difference and built the platform for the Leigh Centurions. As James King drives the ball in, takes 4 to 5 men to stop him and finally put him down. But Halifax back on their own line again. Rowley fires it back. Duffy, long pass out wide. And Leigh will go in at the corner for the last save of the match. Ben Cooper with his second try. And that will bring up the 40 for the Leigh Centurions. Leigh Centurions 40, Halifax 20. Not really a reflection of the way in which Halifax have played. Leigh forced Halifax to drop out on 3 occasions, so 18 points. But Halifax really couldn't answer anything against. Leigh began the 6 tackles virtually on the 20-metre line. And Halifax unable to defend 6 tackles from short distance in the second half after they'd done it on several occasions in the first half. One would think that the 7 or 8 players that Darren Abramson is able to pick this afternoon would make this team a little more complete, as Jones fails with a kick. Halifax bow out of the Challenge Cup as the hooter sounds to a Leigh side who were not that much better really on the day. As I say, 3 dropouts under the post cost Halifax dear, and it was the pressure that Leigh put on as a Super League side, but Halifax didn't give in. Early try from Fisher gave Halifax a dream start to the second half, but man of the man Wiltshire it back almost immediately with a conversion from Jones. Then 2 quick tries from Rowley from drop out. Phil Jones racking himself up the points again with a try, loads of conversions. Darren Fleary romping over from 12 metres out. Jones converted, and a late try from Cooper in the corner. And Leigh have sewn it up. Victory over Halifax, more convincing than probably flatters Leigh the scoreline a bit. But Halifax were up against it, a bit more experience, and a very strong win in the second half. And the 3 dropouts under the post in the end made all the difference here at the Coliseum. It's Leigh Centurions 40, Halifax RLFC 20.